Wrapping up another week here in the maelstrom of this country's socio-political dynamic and really around the world as we see a move towards, and this is not a new thing, but a move towards conformity and really sort of a narrow belief system, which is kind of counter to what a lot of musicians do, which is, basically just riffing off the cuff. I mean, the musicians that I've interviewed over the last 13 years all have an exceptional command of their instrument or their voice. They have the rudiments down, and then they're able to leave the thinking mind and enter the spirit mind, and all bets are off after that. And I get a chance today to speak to somebody who has really risen through the ranks, has wound up in late night entertainment as a musical director for Jimmy Kimmel, comes from a long lineage in his family of musicians, and I think he understands the healing power of rhythm and the fact that maybe rhythm is the only thing that can save us at this point. Cleto Escobedo, welcome to the Jake Feinberg Show.
Hello. Happy to be here. Thanks for the invitation.
It's an honor, man. It's funny. I randomly bumped into this album on United Artists that it was Dos Blues.
Dos Blues, yeah.
Okay, and originally when I reached out to you, I was like, oh my God, I finally got to Cleto, because a lot of the ways a lot of my interviews are based on my collection of vinyl, and then to find out that you are his son, I believe, was really remarkable. And I kind of just wanted you to talk to the audience about how much music dictated the culture in your family growing up.
I mean, immensely. Since I was born, I was born in '66. My dad was on the road with this band. At the time, I think they were still the Del Kings. Out of San Antonio, Texas, and they were a really cool band. They had steps and horn arrangements and all this cool stuff. But their dream was to get to LA eventually, and then eventually to Vegas, because back then it was the heyday of Vegas.
Right.
In the '60s, But I grew up in the backseat of a '63 Chevy, driving around Minnesota, all the Midwest, Chicago, wherever the band would go. So. That's how I grew up initially. And then when I started school, I couldn't travel as much as my dad, but he was still playing in the band. But sorry if I'm not being great, but
you're riffing. It's great. You're on fire.
Okay, yeah. So we ended up in Vegas. Before me, my parents ended up in Las Vegas in 1965, and my dad's band Los Blues had kind of a residency at the Sahara Hotel in Las Vegas. They had a couple of reviews, and they would do their set, and then they'd have showgirls come out and they'd do the thing. But they played there for 6 years, and then that ended, and they had to go on the road. So I wasn't old enough to go on the road with them. I did sometimes, but then when I was in school, I couldn't go. So. My dad was having a hard time dealing with leaving my mom and I all the time, going on the road. But
I guess you know what it is. I sent you a couple of sample interviews, and I've interviewed guys from Aerto Moreira, from Brazil, whose dad was a medicine man of sorts. Not that your dad was somebody who's going around and healing people through music, but the significance of music itself. I mean, to me, it's fascinating because, I step back today at 46, and my friends that are road dogging it today, it is an absolute monstrosity of an order to actually even break even or get ahead.
It is,
it's
especially today.
It's just, and I just, so music as a profession was just seen as a legitimate profession back then. I mean, your dad, even when he was at the Sahara playing 6 sets a night, 7 nights a week, or whatever he was doing, he was making bread. And I just wonder how far back, in your family, the lineage of music goes, because I mean, at one time, Cleto, I don't need to tell you this, but I mean, someone like yourself was considered as viable as a doctor.
Mm-hmm.
I remember somebody, a great guitar player in New York, Al Gaffa, saying, he was walking around the streets of New York. If he had his guitar in his hand, guitar case, Wes Montgomery would come up to him and shake his hand. I mean, it was really seen as a medicinal thing. And I just
Right.
wanted to know if there was an example when, even as a kid, when you realized the absolute mystical and awe-inspiring power of collective musical presentation.
I learned that very, very early, and luckily my parents always had music in the house, and obviously my dad being a musician when I was little. I was there was music everywhere, and then I distinctly remember, I think my dad was playing in Hawaii, and I was 5 years old, and watching his band and him play, and I used to get like teared up watching my dad play, I was so excited by the music of it all, and just the drums and the thing, everything, so that has been a part of my life since, as far as I can remember. And then, I'm an only child, so I would lock myself in my bedroom and just learn lyrics and sing, and just before I was even playing, and it just, music meant everything to me, and still kind of does. But the business of the music business gets in the way sometimes. But yeah, to your point, I just think that it's just been a part of my life since I've been breathing.
I mean, do you, even at your stature, and again, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but I mean, it is a really good gig that you have, but can you talk, you don't have to be specific, but I mean, how in your world today does the racket or the business still get in the way of, I guess the better question is this, Cleto, how much creative control do you have over the music that you're able to create on Jimmy's show?
Well, I mean, my guys, we write a lot of our own stuff now, and we used to do a lot of covers, and now we're kind of going more back to some swing, late 90s kind of, horn stuff and whatever else, and whatever the show kind of wants us to do. And we have pretty much, we can play pretty much what we want, but of course we have producers and stuff that want us to play certain things, and that we get notes for certain bits and whatever else, and which is fun. It's part of the it's part of the gig.
Sure.
And also too, for a gig like this, it's you're not just playing just for yourself. There's a broadcast that we need to meld with everything and that we play, and try to make everything cool. But we have they let us play what we would like to play. We do get notes, but we're pretty happy with our gig.
I mean, this is a really fascinating question. I remember the great trumpet player Eddie Henderson told me. He said, a lot of cats today, younger cats today, are being anointed in leadership positions before they've ever really been a leader. I mean, if you look at Art Blakey's band, for instance, you look at the cats that came through that band: Freddie Hubbard, Bobby Timmons, Cedar Walton, Wayne Shorter. All those guys apprenticed. Branford, thank you. All those cats apprenticed and road dog hard under the tutelage of Blakey, and then they were able to assume the mantle of leader. Do you, looking back on it, did you have opportunities to apprentice, not just under your dad, or what was kind of your experiences before you became a band leader?
I mean, I've been playing professionally since I was 19. So I got to be playing bands in every capacity. And I bopped around Vegas, like you said, 6 sets a night, 6 nights a week.
Wow.
I did that a lot, and I finally got into this very popular band called Santa Fe, who are now Santa Fe and the Fat City Horns in Las Vegas. They're still going and they're still killing. But one of my major mentors is this guy named Jerry Lopez, and he hired me when I was maybe 20, I think, maybe that. And I played with them for a while. And then I got to, my first big tour was with Paul Abdul. So I was, I got to watch the leaders there, which is Sonny Emery was our on the road band leader. And, you know, and I had watched him with David Sanborn, who's one of my heroes. You know,
oh my God,
in
rest in
concert.
God.
So when I was in a when I was in a band with Sonny, I was just like, holy shit, you know. And then, you know, I toured with Mark Anthony, I've toured with Luis Miguel, you know, and a lot of Latin stuff. But like, so I got to watch leaders as they work, and I learned from them, I hope, you know, how I like to lead and how I don't like to lead as well. And so when this came along, I felt that I was kind of ready, you know, and I've been around long enough. At that time, I was 37 when I got this job. So, you know, I've been bopping around touring and, you know.
I dig. No, this is, I'd love you to talk.
Great gigs and playing shit gigs, you know, like, I mean, whatever, but we all bopped around. My whole band, like, you know, some of my band members have done way more than I have, and you know, but I just kind of hold down the fort, and we all work together. I don't consider myself like anybody's leader. I consider myself a member of the band, you know, and then we just all make decisions together, and I respect them immensely, everybody that's in my band.
Can you talk about a specific example? You don't have to mention names, but I think it's very important especially for my generation. I mean, we're kind of, I'm a Gen Xer. I don't know where you fall in.
Yeah.
You know, it's
I'm about 10 years older than you are, I think, so, or 12.
Right. So, I mean, like a lot of times, you know, I'll ask this question. People will say, well, I learned as a leader what not to do. Is there a specific example, without mentioning names, of,
No, yeah. It's all good, man. Like, I just remember a couple times, like, I'd be in a band or, like, whatever, and, like, someone would make a mistake, and, like, let's go all the way back to the top. And, like, to play the song all over again. And I'm like, that's kind of unnecessary.
What a drag,
like,
yeah.
Let's go from, like, letter B, you know, like, I don't know if, you know, whatever you read, but it's like, I'm not going to, these guys are all professionals. They're like, you know, we know what we're doing. You know what I mean? If you're making a beautiful dollar in this industry, if you're making a living being a musician, you know what the fuck you're doing. And I'm not going to make my guys go, oh, you made a mistake, right back to the top. And no, that's not what. We'll go back to this one. We'll run this lick, or, you know. And of course, I make mistakes, but you know, I'll correct myself. But like, just stuff like that. Like, there's unnecessary, like, you know, working of your band that you don't have to do. You know, I just feel you don't have to, like, make people, like, belittle people to make sure that everything's going to come out perfect, you know. So,
well, I want to talk about perfection, because my mind, now again, you're not playing instrumental improvisational jazz right now in your current band, but it's like it's like, I'm curious about the idea, or if you can talk about it as you relate to your own career. I mean, I remember David Spinoza. He was a great guitar player, session player, and produced a ton of, Grape Cat. And he told me that he was walking out of Atlantic Studios back in the early 70s on his way to a jingle date, and Arif Mardin and Dr. John pulled him into this room, and they're like, yo, can you lay down a guitar solo for this song? And he plugged in, and he played the solo, and he overbent a string, and he's like, okay, let me do it again. And they said, no, that's perfect. That's absolutely perfect. And so he left, and the song turned out to be "Right Place, Wrong Time" by the Meat. All right, so then he gets in a cab, and it's a really funny story. But the point is that I have talked to so many cats, the studio cats that from your dad's era, who I mean, they hit clams, and yet it made it onto records. And I just, and I kind of wanted you to talk about this idea, because it does strike me as the example you used is really prescient, because I feel like imperfection is perfection, because obviously you don't want to be sloppy, but the idea of going back to the head of the tune, or going back to the top, as opposed to just riffing through it, I just would love you to talk a little bit about that. I mean, I'm not sure if I mean, most of the time the audience isn't going to know it's a clam anyway. I mean, you can riff on that any way you want.
That's our thing. Like, at work, we've had some major train wrecks, and then I go and watch it back, and you can't really even tell.
Exactly.
And, so we have this joke, like, who gives a shit if you make a mistake? No one in the country, like,
no one.
But and I've oh man I've yeah, we've had a couple of major, like I've been a half step off on a song, like I think it was a Beck song. I played some terrible sax lick, and we were like, oh shit. And then you watch it back, and it's so quick that, of course we want to play everything right and everything, but that's just going to happen, and we're human, and then it's almost funny. Like, I love showbiz fuck ups. That's my favorite thing in life. Like, I just think it's funny when we mess up on stage or something. As long as it doesn't ruin the.
Of course, I mean,
broadcast
that's
or anything,
to me that's like the most exciting thing, because you're going off the rails, but then you got to get back on and do it in a graceful way so that nobody knows.
Right, you just kind of roll out and, hey, all right, everybody's cool. Nobody. It's just
How like, are you able to, like, when you have quote unquote had these off the rail, back on the rail? I mean, are you guys basically doing first takes on the show, or do you have a chance to?
Oh yeah, we're completely live.
That is so great, man.
We're live to tape, so like,
right.
And unless it's somebody really
right.
falls off the stage. I mean, they're not going to stop taping. So, but yeah, so we just roll down and then try to get back on, and we're cool, and and then we played through the breaks. So you were asking about improvisation and stuff. So we all blow like all through the breaks. We play whatever. I don't want to say jazz improvisation, but we all.
Or you're telling me that you just guys like pick up a theme and just riff on it for like a minute?
We have our original horn songs, whatever. And then it's like, hey, guitar solo, cool, blah blah blah, blah. And we're waiting for as the show is going through the commercial break.
Sure.
We're just all playing. I'll point to somebody, and then I'll just like our stage manager, 10 seconds, all right, cool, all right, guitar, keep going. We'll do that till we get to Jimmy's one shot, and boom, then I'll cut the band. But so we kind of have a lot of license to just blow and play and have fun, and
I was going to say that like the other part of going back to the leadership part of it. Sometimes, and I'd like you to relate it to your own band right now, is this like, a lot of times you talk about cats that, they want to go back to the top of the tune if there's one flub. But then there's like the other thing with some leaders, insecure leaders, they bring people in and then they start to micromanage them. And it's like, I just want you to talk about your concept and how much flexibility you have about, like, when you hire people or someone leaves the band, they get a different gig or they have a baby, whatever, they got to leave. It's like, talk about bringing cats in to do what they do well. To me, that's what it's all about, because it's like the minute that you start micromanaging, you bring a guitar player in, you bring a horn player in, and you start to, and as a band leader, maybe you're not even a musician. Maybe you're just a singer, but all of a sudden you're micromanaging, then you're sapping all the spirituality out of it.
Right, which that I refuse to do.
So talk about how you. I mean, that was that from your. Is that something you learned, or you've kind of always had a laissez-faire approach to it, where it's like that the whole is greater than the sum of its parts, or whatever that's saying.
Well, exactly. I mean, you just said it perfectly. That just from being on stage since I was a teenager. I learned what I liked and what I didn't like I said earlier. And I learned, like I mentioned Jerry Lopez earlier from Las Vegas, but I love the way he, led the band and was the leader, but let everybody have a say. So for me, like, I run my band as I'm a band member, as opposed to trying to run the band with an iron fist. It's like no, like, everybody has their part, and I hire all my favorite people. So, like, I trust anything that they want to bring to the band, or songs, or like how they play, or their groove, or, and I've been lucky enough to have basically the same band for 22 years,
wow.
on this show.
Wow.
We lost our bass player a couple years ago. He retired. He just wanted to go get a dad and a grandpa, and Jimmy Earl, who's played with everybody.
Oh my God,
he's amazing.
Legend.
Yeah. So, but he wanted to roll out, so I hired Rhonda Smith, who played with Prince and Jeff Beck, and a ton of other people. But I played with her years ago, and she's been a great addition to the band. But anybody that wants to bring anything to the band, welcome. I'm all ears, because I learned this from, was it Lionel Richie? I think I saw a concert. He's like, I want to be the worst guy in the band so I can learn from everybody.
Right. I mean,
And that's
I
kind of how
remember.
I feel. I feel like I want to learn from you guys. Like, you're not learning from me. I mean, so I just happen to have this gig as leader, and we're all going to be together, and we're equals.
So fascinating here talking to Cleto Escobedo, and on the Jake Feinberg show. I would love you to talk about, you know, ultimately, like when you think about another L on my show is lineage. I mean, like, were you somebody who, how far back in the lineage of horn playing? I'm not talking about like necessarily on your gig, but like I would love you to talk to the audience. The biggest thing that I find today, and again, this is going into melodic improvisation, or some people, I hate labels, but people call it jazz. It's just like there's a real homogenization of sound. It's very hard to tell younger cats who is who, as opposed to
Right.
you go back in the day. I mean, Charles Lloyd from Sonny Rollins, John Coltrane, Jackie
Sure.
McLean. Everybody had their own individual sound, and it's a total forever journey. But I kind of wanted you to talk about who you begged, borrowed, and stealed from, but then ultimately, where you're at in terms of finding your own individual sound. And I'm talking about, you getting a call to say, "Hey, come down with your buddies to it and just play some R&B and funk and jam out." Not necessarily. Where are you at in the evolution of your own individual voice?
Well, that's my. You just mentioned R&B and funk. That's where I come from. Like
That's your
my
bag,
whole life.
yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, he loved the blues and still, loves all the blues stuff. And when I first started, that's how I started. My favorite, like in the beginning, was like Grover Washington.
Oh my God!
So like it's all R&B stuff, And then I found Sanborn, and of course Brecker, and then all the jazz guys. But I do not consider myself a jazz musician.
Absolutely not. No,
I don't. I'm a funk guy, man, and I can bullshit my way through some jazz shit, but not really, or some fusion stuff. But like I tried, obviously learn some Brecker licks and some other stuff. But I didn't spend enough time in the shed, mainly because I was like concentrating on my singing and stuff. But that's a cop out, and I was just lazy. But
no, dude. I
just
think you were also like. I mean, let's face it. When you were coming up, really in your formative years, jazz was no longer a popular music in this country. So you actually wanted to get a gig,
Right, but
it was,
I did.
Yeah.
I wasn't all like. I went to UNLV when I was a kid, University of Las Vegas,
Wow.
and I was in all three of the jazz big bands, And so I can read and I like all that stuff and everything, but my heart has always been just the funk R&B stuff, and I just loved Grover Washington. He was like my fave, and it still is. Like but of course, it's basically him, Sanborn, and Brecker are my favorite. Sax players.
I mean, Grover to me, I've interviewed, Billy Cobham and him were at Fort Dix in New Jersey, and I mean, like, dude, going back to the early '70s, his stuff on Kudu or CTI, I mean, it is even the live Grover is out of control, and there was something about him specifically where the blues and the funk came right alongside the jazz. I mean, he was covering Marvin Gaye too.
Oh yeah, I think he's so underrated as a saxophone player.
Oh, the best, yeah.
Because he has bop chops. Like I really don't, but
he could play that. Yeah, exactly.
He did a record with Kenny Burrell, I believe.
Yeah, Wine Light, right?
No, Wine Light. No, it was a little before or after Wine Light. But
really?
He did it with a jazz guitar player, Kenny Burrell.
I've interviewed Kenny. I know Kenny very well.
Yeah. Stuff.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, shit, he can play that stuff. But he definitely completely had his own voice and his own, I don't know. I just loved him. And I got to play with him one time in Las Vegas. He happened to be at a gig at the Flamingo Hotel, and he sat in with us, and I think I played a couple of his licks, and he laughed at me, and
Dude, wait, what? This is so magical. You got to play with one of your idols. I mean, you can't really beat that.
He walked into the bar, and he was. I had a towel, and he was sweating, he wiped his brow and he put the towel by my horn. And I still have that towel in my. I wrote Grover 19. I think it was 87 or
Oh
something.
my God! Don't ever wash
Yeah,
that thing ever.
I saved that.
Yeah.
I'm like, that's my fucking hero, man. Like, but then I got to meet, Sanborn too, and all those guys. But like, I don't know. It's just I forgot where I was.
No, I did. I mean, you're
Going off on a
really
tangent.
like I'm going to throw out like Doc Kupka or Emilio Castillo, Tower of Power. Like that's more.
Oh yeah. Well, I've been very lucky that Tower of Power, the horns have sat in with us. Like
that
3
is
times
freaking great, dude.
on the show, and one time they didn't have their singer, so I had to sing all the Tower of Power shit, which is awesome, but like nerve wracking. And but so yeah, so we can, we know those guys, and it's that's another beautiful thing about this gig is that we've got to play with all these,
I know,
all of our heroes, and they've all been amazing and so cool, and so.
I would love, if why do you think? I mean, being somebody who went to the academy in the '80s, it was a very different vibe, and I'm just like I think today you have a lot of students going into the academy, and we're such a visual medium society now, and we're awash in content, and so much of that content is mediocre. And that, as a result, cats are learning to read the music before they can hear the music, and their ears get locked. And I was wondering about like how much because I mean, I was an '80s cat. I mean, CDs were just coming in the late '80s, mid to late '80s. I mean, were you kind of an autodidact learner before? Did you learn to hear the music before you learned to read it?
I did. I think, yeah. Well, I started reading when I was 11, but like, you're playing hot cross buns,
Right.
So, but I think my ear has helped me, my whole life. But when I was a little boy, I was just a little parrot, listening to Stevie Wonder records and everybody else trying to get in my mirror and sing all those songs and all those licks and everything. And then I started playing when I was 11. And then you start learning certain things. But yeah, I would just try to figure shit out, by ear, before I really knew how to read. And I'm not an amazing reader, but I can read, but it's, some guys, they call them fly shit readers,
Right, that you can read fly paper. No, I mean, and that's really.
I'm all right, but it's not, I'm not one of those guys. I got to look at some stuff if it's too weird, I need a minute to figure it out. But yeah, I think my ear is was what helped me initially,
That was, I mean, I just feel like that's when you in terms of instrumentalists today. I mean, do you feel or do you agree with this idea that there is a homogenization of sound, that it's harder to tell who certain cats are? Horn players specifically. Do you feel like there is, and really more to the point, do you feel like the racket or the business model is, they appeal to those who are conforming to a sound? Oh, you sound like this person. This is going to be relatable, as opposed to, doing something on your own. I just know my friends that are out there, and they're not playing jazz. They're playing rock and funk But if you're playing original music, it's really hard to make a buck now. That was not always the case,
Right. Yeah, especially with with all the streaming stuff and everything. The record industry is not what it was. I mean,
well, I even say that your pops, I mean, maybe that this never went down, but if he went to the Bay Area in the early '70s, Bill Graham would put on Malo, the Sons of Champlin, and the Preservation Hall Jazz Band. So someone's like, well, who's Dos Blues? Who's Malo? Who's But the point is that it was you may not know these cats, but you're gonna dig these cats. And today it's more like, oh, we don't know them, so we need to find something that's familiar. That really bothers me.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, it's we've definitely got, I don't know. Yeah, the music industry has been kind of weird.
Yeah, no, I'm just saying, like when you were.
I'm old, so like like people ask, hey, what are you listening to? I listen to all my old shit. Like
Yeah.
I'm in my office and I'm looking at a picture of myself with Michael McDonald.
Oh,
And,
my God.
who's like other than like
Come
Stevie
on.
Wonder, like it's him and Stevie and like Donny Hathaway. I mean, those are my favorite.
Dude, I got chills.
Ever.
Dude, Donnie freaking Hathaway, dude. I remember interviewing Phil Upchurch. I mean, they were so close, man.
Oh man, he's just amazing. It was our last show last night, and on the break, we sang "This Christmas" just because
Yeah.
we're going on Christmas. But I've been lucky enough to sing with his daughter Kenya,
Wow.
and then Layla. Layla's great too, and I know Layla, and it's like they have like the same timbre. Like it's just they're amazing, and he was amazing. Anyway, I don't know. I forgot what the freaking point.
It's fine. No, I wonder. I mean, do you feel like where is an area that you would? I mean, how all-consuming is the show itself? I mean, do you? I sort of had this image in my mind that you would, hop out to the local speakeasy and blow with your friends after. But I mean, again, it's just I'm curious about if there's something as we head into this very, very turbulent time. Is there an area that you kind of want to push yourself out of your comfort zone in order to grow? I'm not talking about Kimmel's show. I'm talking about just sort of just. To me, the only way I've ever grown in my life is by pushing myself out of my comfort zone.
Yeah, it's funny. Like since I've had this show, mainly since I had children, I don't really like to go out and do gigs after the show.
I dig, yeah.
I don't want to be putting my horn away at 1 a.m. and then getting up and going, because I want to be with my kids.
Yeah, you remember what it was like when your dad wasn't there, Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And then I also like, I as I got older, it's funny. I don't like being on stage as much as I used to. Like I just got like shy, which is really weird and dumb, but that's just what happened to me. So I don't play much. I did a gig. I went and sat in with the band a few months ago. That was really fun and it went fine. But like I don't do that very often. My guys play out a lot, but they're all like really cool jazz musicians and other they like to do different things. So whereas I kind of like get up in the morning, I basically have a 9 to 5.
Sure.
I do that, and I'm happy to do that and take care of what I can at the show and whatever my responsibilities might be that day. But
I love it. No, I do
listen, want to get back out. I'd love to start if I would even play with my band out a little more. And we've done some gigs, but we're parents now. Which when we first started the show, we were all single and whatever.
Wait, hold on a second. I want to be clear. Do you feel like you just haven't woodshedded enough, and so you're just sort of rusty about performing in front of people, or you really have some sort of, I don't want to say stage fright, but you're really not into it? Or is it something that you would like to do, you just kind of need to do it more?
Yeah, I'm not rusty because I play every day, but
right.
I'm cool to play and sing, but it's just like, I don't know, I feel like I just get more, I have a little more stage fright than I used to, which is odd. But, when I was young, I was ready to roll out. Hey, what's happening, everybody? Now, I don't know, I'm just shyer than I was, at 18 than I am now at 58, so it's like...
wow, interesting. It's really
but
fascinating.
I'll still do gigs.
No, man, I want to come see. I would love to come see your. What's the instrumentation of? What's the vibe of your band?
What's the instrumentation?
And the general vibe of it, like your own group. When you go out and play.
Well, we play just again. We'll play a bunch of Stevie stuff, some funk stuff.
Yeah.
Gary Clark, some old Rufus and Chuck. Whatever. That's like our stuff.
I dig.
But I also love the old, crooning Sinatra shit too, but I don't really play that out, and our last gig, we just did a bunch of funk stuff and, some horn things, and then I'll sing and, but I try to let everybody have a feature, whoever wants to play what,
I was going to say the one cat, I don't think he's ever been on the show, but just based on your vibe and the style of music you're into, have you ever crossed paths with Sly Stone?
No, we haven't.
I mean, that
He's
cat
he's an
deserves to
interesting
be on the
character.
bandstand again. You know.
He's an interesting cat. He's never come
Yeah, he
through.
is.
He hasn't come through our show, but he's definitely one of our favorites. And we've definitely covered his stuff, and yeah.
Can you? Is there a way to talk in your mind? Feel free. Everybody has an ego, but obviously you and Jimmy were friends way back when. But why does he feel? What makes you a unique and why did he turn to you to be the leader of the band?
Well, I mean, I think he was. I guess that's kind of a tough question, but
Maybe he didn't make the call. It seemed
tough, but it's not tough.
Yeah.
It's tough, but it's not tough
Yeah.
because I worked. He had a show called The Man Show, and
Right.
I helped co-write and sang the theme for that. But he didn't really have a place for me on air for that show.
Right.
He used it was a different type of show. So his career kept getting better and better, and he's rising and blah blah blah. And then I was on the road with Mark Anthony. I was singing background with Mark Anthony, and I was at a sound check in Atlanta. I'm just sitting in the audience. We're just waiting to go. Do the sound check. My phone rings, and it's him. And he's like, "Hey, Junior." He still calls me Junior because that was my name on the street. He's like, "Junior, I think I'm getting this show on ABC. Do you want to be my band leader?" And I was like, "Well, fuck yeah, dude!"
Damn.
So for him, I mean, he didn't have to choose me, which makes me warms my heart because he could have tried to, got a more famous musician or whatever, to be his band leader if he's getting this network television show, but he chose me, and that's just who he is. He's so loyal, and he's like my brother. So I was like, well, hell yeah. And then, and we didn't know if it was going to go for, 13 weeks or 13 years or, we're in our 22nd season now, ending our 22nd season. But yeah, I think he trusted me knowing that I had good guys. He knew all my band members from, before he was even famous, because he'd come see us when he moved to town. When he was a DJ at K-Rock, he would come see us and support us, our bands and stuff. And so I just think he trusted me, and I think I mean, I can't speak for him, but I just feel that he knew that I would do the best I could and hire the best guys, and, we'd always have his back.
You were with Mark Anthony on the road. I mean, your credentials, he knew you from way back when. Loyalty was there. What is your leadership style, though? How much have you grown in those 22 years? I mean, in terms of things that might have not necessarily been comfortable for you early on. I mean, I would love you to just talk about, how you've grown into the position of being a band leader for now a show that has been running for 22 seasons.
Yeah, I've just tried to do the best I could and listen to everybody. When I get to work, I just, our whole band, we just try to figure out, for that day, what do we need to do.
What a wild experience! What a dream-like experience. Sometimes
it's amazing. It's been the most beautiful job ever. And but I just when I first got there, I didn't know what the hell I was doing. I mean, I walked in with a little briefcase and trying to look important. I didn't know what the hell. I mean, I've been on TV as a side band,
sure,
but not as a leader. So and of course, Jimmy and I grew up as giant David Letterman fans, so of course Paul Schaefer was one of my heroes, and all those guys. So I learned a little bit, but I didn't know the day in and day out of this job. So I just learned as I went along, and I just tried to learn and be a sponge and listen to everybody. And
ultimately, as the leader, though, the buck stops with you sometimes, though. I mean, you do.
It does. Yeah. No, it does, and I take the heat sometimes. It's fine. And then, you mentioned, some of the shit parts. Early, we had to lose a band member, and I had to be the one to let him go. There was a bunch of cuts in the beginning. So that was tough. And if any problems arise, whatever, it's tough for me because I'm not a real confrontational person, you know. So,
well, you don't want to hurt
but
people, you know. It sucks.
no,
Yeah.
but luckily, like all these people in my band they're my best friends and literally my family. My father's in the band, and all my
Your father's
brothers,
in the band?
Oh yeah,
Oh
he
my
stands,
God, this is beautiful, man.
He stands right next to me. That's a whole nother story. I don't want.
No, I did. I mean that
your broadcast, but
no, dude. What I'm saying is, you can go. Please talk about. I mean, was that something where it was like, you know,
well,
how did that happen?
Back to how amazing Jimmy is.
Yeah.
So he calls me up, after he's offered me this job, and he said, well, I just can't just hire you on the spot. We have to. The then president of ABC, his name is Lloyd Braun. He said he wants to see you guys play. So can you book a gig? Like, yeah. So I'll book a gig with my guys, and so we booked a gig here in LA. And I told my dad, hey man, let's hold up. Let me start over. So Jimmy says, book a gig. I said, okay, I'll book a gig. And he goes, who's going to be in your, who are you thinking about at the band? I said, well, all the guys, Jeff, Tosh, Jonathan, he knew all the guys.
Right.
So he said, how about your dad? Wouldn't your dad it'd be cool to have your dad in the band, And I go, that'd be awesome. But at the time, my dad had quit playing music for 30 years, and he had been working at Caesar's Palace in Las Vegas. He quit the band for me to get off the road.
Sure.
And that's a whole nother story. But
wow.
So yeah, so he had, he wasn't playing anymore professionally, but he was, he could still play, obviously. But he,
yeah, it had been a minute, yeah.
So I didn't tell my dad he's auditioning. I just said, come sit in. We'll pick up the pieces. We'll do some stuff. It'll be fun. Like just kind of add to the fun of this quote unquote audition. So sure enough, my dad comes and we do the audition. And the then president of ABC comes up and is like, hey man, let's do this. It's gonna be great. And you got welcome to the family and blah blah blah. So my dad goes up to him, Lloyd Braun, and says, hey, thanks so much for hiring my son and his friends. And he goes, what do you mean? You're in the fucking band too? And my dad turned white, like, what? And then one of our executive producers brought over really shots tequila, and we all hung on. It was beautiful. So
I'm sorry. That is.
And it's 22 years ago, and I'd love to take credit for giving my dad that job. That was Jimmy's idea, and would I have had him on the show? Of course, but Jimmy just said, what about your dad? Wouldn't that be cool? And then so my dad, he took a few leaves of absence because we didn't know how long the show was going to go, and then the show went, so he eventually just retired from Caesars, and he's been doing this job for 22 years. He's 80 now.
Wow.
And so he made that sacrifice for me to work at Caesars all those years so he could be with me and, teach me a little bit about saxophone and play baseball with me and take me fishing and, whatever. He was a great dad, but then it was beautiful for him to be able to stand next to me and his, kind of surrogate son, Jimmy, every night.
I mean, that you just went to Never Everland on me, dude. That is a magical.
Oh yeah.
That is squaring the circle of music right there. I mean, to me, so your dad kind of got off the road when you were maybe in high school, or when did he?
No, earlier, dude. I was 7 when he quit.
Wow.
He quit the band. He didn't know what he was going to do, and he got a job as a busboy at Caesars, and worked his way up. And he had a really good career there. But, he wasn't playing, and
it was completely selfless act, though, yeah.
Completely selfless. And to have him retired to come to do this gig with essentially his two sons. I'm an only child, but, Jimmy and I were inseparable as kids. So,
right.
He was always at our house, my dad and him,
Oh, my God. This is so dude, that tight, dude, man. And the fact that Jimmy was like, yo, let's get your dad back on the bandstand,
Yeah, man. Which is another. Yeah, he's just amazing and the most loyal, beautiful person, and closest thing I got to a brother.
Before I let you go, man, I know that my daughters. I mean, my oldest is off in college now, freshman year.
Wow. Good for you.
Yeah, well, she's at Princeton too. You know, it's a big deal.
Wow, dude.
Yeah,
Oh,
now
boy.
hit it out of the park. But
Yes.
you know, my kids. I mean, everyone talks about how meaningful and impactful and your children are, and I take everybody at their word. I mean, for me, it was a rebirth in some ways when they were both born, just to not just self-worth, but it really broke my heart open, broke my soul open, allowed me to dream again. They were really responsible for helping me find my voice on the radio and now in a podcast form. And I'm curious about how your kids have changed your point of view on life and music as well.
Oh, yeah, immensely, man. I mean, like, let's see, my kids they're both very, like, musical, but they were musical really early, and they've been singing, blah, blah, blah. And then they kind of, like, soured to it. I bought my daughter, like, every instrument. She played clarinet, she played violin, she did, you know, they were,
Yeah.
But then she just, like, whatever. But now she just got back into it. You know, she just, ironically enough, 3 nights ago had her first, like, solo singing thing in the choir.
Wow.
And I was like, of course, you know, in tears and stuff.
Oh,
and,
yeah.
And my boy, like, they just both kind of started picking up. My boy has a guitar, then she has a bass, so they're starting to mess around too. But yeah, they just having them around. I don't know. I think I'm straying from your question, but
No, you're doing great. There are no right or wrong answers. You know, the point.
Yeah, I mean, they just, like, you know, they maybe added to my soulfulness a little bit when they were born, but, like, just to hear them, to see them kind of, like, really digging music and what they like, it just makes me happy that they do have a soul that way, you know?
Oh, my God. Yeah, I mean, that's just Cleto Escobedo. I mean, the only thing I'd ask is there any chance I could interview your dad?
Oh, of course.
I would love to. I mean, really, that record,
Man,
I mean, it all stemmed from that record. It all stemmed from that record. I was like, and then to see the lineage of the family and now to get the story. But, man,
Yeah.
it would be such an honor to talk to that cat.
He would love it. And I mean, you can have his number. I'll
just
you have
fire
my
it over
now, so if you want to, just text me so I remember, and I'll put you in my phone.
Sure, man. And then listen, I mean, keep me in the loop because I'm in Tucson.
Wait, so you're in Austin, right?
No, Tucson, Arizona.
Oh, Tucson.
Yeah,
okay,
yeah.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, but I mean,
so
like, dude, when I'm out in LA, I mean, I would love, especially if you got a one-off, if you got some gigs, I'd love to come see you.
You could do us together too, but when you're in LA, just come to the show.
Oh, definitely. No, 100%.
Talk to you. We were just a part of a documentary. They're still editing about all the Vegas musicians and blah blah blah. But he would love to talk to you, and he has stories up the wazoo.
I mean, dude, it's going to get deep. I mean, but I just want to tell you, man, I'm really proud of you, man. Like, you know, it's hard to sing for your supper as a musician these days. And, you know, luck is the residue of design. And the mere fact that you grew up with someone like Kimmel, had your dad around, all that's, I mean, when you lead with your heart, those things come back tenfold. And it's always invigorating to talk to cats, especially my peers, who are succeeding because, man, it's really a scuffle out there now.
It's tough, man.
Yeah.
It's tough, man. Like,
You know, they don't even pay for the gig. You don't even get paid for the gig. You don't even get paid for the gig anymore. You can sell merch and get ahead. That's it.
Exactly, man. Like, you know, I mean, it's tough to tour anymore. Like, I don't know. I'm so fortunate to, like, you know, I'm an old fart now. So, like,
stop saying that, dude. You're getting younger every day, man.
When the show's over, I'll be able to get my pension, you know. But, like, if I was still out there running around trying to tour and sleeping on tour buses, you know, with my kids at home, and if I didn't have kids, I'm great, like, on the road being broke. I'm fine.
Absolutely. I did.
Not with children, you know. So luckily, because of Jimmy, I was able to.
No, it's really just, it made my week, man. It made my week, Cleto. So thank you, bro.
Well, thanks, man. Thanks for reaching out. Again, just call me whenever. And my dad would love to talk.
No. I'll text you. I mean, we're connected now forever. I'm coming out. I'm coming to the show next time. You know.
You got it. Just let me know when you're here.
All right, man. Much love to you, brother. Right, brother. Yeah.
Much love to you too. Thank you very much. I appreciate the opportunity.
No, it's a pleasure. Thank you.
All right.
Bye.
Take care.